Welcome back, everybody. We're back on the cage build for the 74 Jimmy, and it's about to get to the fun part. Up until this point, we've spent a lot of time calculating exactly where the main structure of the cage is going to be. Well, that part is pretty much done. We've got to finish off the A-pillars, and then we're going to get into putting in a lot more tubes, reinforcing different sections, and you're going to see it's going to be a lot more visually exciting to look at. And real soon here, we're going to be putting the seats in. So let's get to it. First up, we need to reinstall the A-pillars that we painted last week. We painted them because once they're welded in place behind the dash, we won't be able to access them to get a good coat of paint. We tack the A-pillars in place while trying to make sure that we have our angles right, before moving on to making the upper pieces that will be welded into the rest of the cage structure. The upper A-pillars are connected to the lowers by tube disconnects. Once the angle of the upper tube is finalized, the disconnects are fully welded in place. Now that the disconnects are fully welded, we can bolt the uppers to the lower A-pillars. This holds them into their final positions so we can finish welding them to the rest of the cage. I spent the past few hours working on the A-pillars, and the passenger side turned out great. Let me show you how it looks. As you can see, it turned out pretty slick. Matches the angle of the windshield frame really good, and right up into the halo just like we want. Unfortunately, that's not how it turned out on the driver's side. Let's go around the other side and take a look. All right, from here you can really see it. See, the passenger side here is nice and tucked up behind the rubber seal for the windshield. The driver's side, you can see it sticks out really close to that rubber seal. Something must have moved while I was making the top half and got the angle wrong, and so yeah, that's going to be too close to the windshield. We're going to have to remake that. Not too thrilled about that, but you know, these things happen, so better remake it than to continue on with a mistake, a piece that you've made a mistake on. So we're going to cut that out and try again. All right, well, that cost us a couple of hours, but it was time well spent. You can see that the A-pillar here matches the windshield frame much better. It's not going to hit the windshield all around. It needed to happen. I'm glad we did it, and now it's time to move on. Next up, let's get the spreader bars that go between the A and B pillars done. Those are also going to have disconnects on them because, as we mentioned before, the A-pillars won't be able to come out anymore. And if we want to remove the rest of the cage, anything that attaches to the A-pillars has to have disconnects. We started by mocking up a short tube with the disconnect that will be welded to the A-pillar. Once we had that, we cut the spreader tube to length, bolted the two halves of the disconnects together, then tacked the pieces in place. With the fitment finalized, we disconnected the spreader tubes again in order to fully weld the A-pillars. With everything disconnected, we're able to rotate the A-pillars as needed in order to get the best angle. With that done, we bolted everything back together. Once the driver's side was complete, it was just rinse and repeat for the passenger side. With the A-pillars complete, it was time to fully weld the spreader tubes to the B-pillars. All right, our A to B spreader tubes are welded in, and with that, the main structure of our cage is in. We've got the A-pillar, B-pillar, C-pillars all in and bolted down to the floor. We've got the disconnects between the A-pillar and the rest of the cage all welded in and bolted down. So with that, it's time to start creating some triangles. You can see here we've got a whole lot of rectangles, so this cage isn't really that strong yet, but it will be by the time we're done. But before we get to adding in all that bracing, we need to put our seats in. We're going to run a couple of tubes across here to mount our seats, but first we got to put the seats together so we see exactly how tall they are, so we make sure we get that height right for Alan. Before unpacking these nice new seats, we spent a few minutes cleaning up the shop. We don't want to get these new seats dirty, and the shop was getting messy enough to be hard to work in anyway. All right, as you can see, we've started assembling the seatbelt harnesses for our PRP seats here. These are some nice looking seats. I think these are going to look great in the truck. I can't wait to get them mounted. But as you can see, Alan is switching to these five-point harnesses rather than the traditional seat belts. And so we've got all that assembled, make sure we have all the pieces for that. One thing we ran into is these are reclining seats, and one of the seats was missing the reclining handle. But we put in a quick call to PRP, and they're shipping one out to us. Hopefully it will be here in the next day or two. No questions asked, so great customer service by them. Anyway, he's also got these sliders. So we don't have to hard mount the seats in a specific spot. We're going to install these sliders so we can move it up and back. We're going to assemble all of the mounting hardware on this, and then it's time to mock them up in the truck and see exactly how high we want these to be. Before we could mock up the seats, we needed to bolt on the universal angle mounts and then the universal sliders. All of this, along with the seats, are available from PRP and appear to be excellent quality. Because the sliders are a universal kit, some adjustments needed to be made to the cables connecting the two sides, but the instructions were clear and it only took a few minutes and a pair of pliers. With a passenger seat done, we just repeat the process for the driver's side. Oh, that's going to look good. Now that we've got the seat all assembled and in place, we need to mock up the height and see exactly how high we want this seat to be. I spent a few minutes playing with the seat height using some 2x4s, but in the end, laying some straight tubes across the spreaders ended up being very close to the right ride height. I tacked on a few tabs so that I could make sure the height still worked with the standoffs provided with the kit. This also let me play with the sliders so that I could verify that everything was working as it should. I've got the seat in about as well as we can. Alan's a little shorter than me, so we're just waiting for him to show up, and we'll double check, make sure it still works for him. Speak of the devil, look who just showed up. All right, let's test this seat out. Now that Alan's had a chance to test out the seat, we have a plan. The height works good for him. We checked the headroom, make sure he's not going to hit his head on the roll cage above. So now we need to take these tubes here. Let's see if we can show you. Take these tubes here, and we need to put a bend in here so that they'll actually land on the lower piece here and maintain the height that we've set for our seat right now. So let's get these tubes bent up, get the copes done, and get this finalized. All right, I got the first seat support tube bent up and put in place, but I got my son here today to help me out, and I'm going to show him how to do a little fabrication, and we're going to build up the second one. So this tube I bent up earlier so that it fits. Move your foot right there. Okay, so that, bend it up, put it on here, and that's the first one. We need to bend this tube up so that it matches that one. See how it's level right here? But we need to bend it so that it bends down and contacts that, just like this one. So let's take this over and put it in the bender, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, come on. Getting the kiddo interested in shop isn't easy, but I'm hoping that by explaining how things work, I can pique his interest in starting his own project someday.
Now we need to figure out where do we make the bend on the other side, okay? So how we do that is we need to see where this bend starts, okay? So if you run your finger right here, put your finger right there, no, just right here. Can you feel the little bump?
Okay.
Yeah, so where that bump is where the bend starts, okay? Yep, right there, so right. Yep, that's where the bend started, okay? So we measured on the other tube that the distance from the start of the bend on this bend and the start of the bend on the other one is 50.5 inches, right? So what we want to do is come over here. So hold this right on that line, okay? Got it? Hold on to it. Got it on that line?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a mark over here.
Yeah.
Okay, and go to 50.5 right there. Okay, so now we know that the start of our next bend needs to be right on that line. Okay, so let's go back to the bender. And see that little mark right there? That's where the bend is going to start, okay? So we need to put this tube in. We need to be right on that line when we put it in there. And then we want to make this bend the same as the other one. So where do we want to go? Remember what angle we wanted?
46.5 degrees.
Yeah, exactly. Let's have you do it. Here, okay? Hold on to it. Over here. So just hold this out of the way with your other finger, because you don't want that to clip under, because that'll hold it so it can't stop. Okay. Okay. So keep going once you go up to about 40 degrees. Okay, and then I'll finish it off. Just push down. You remember when that tube was sitting on top of the other tube? Like there was a tube just sitting like that?
Yeah.
And it was the perfect height? Okay. That's because so we can use this tube, like basically we want this tube to go right through right there, right? But this is how we're going to figure out where that goes. Okay. So we take this. When you have two tubes that are the same size next to each other, if you scrape along the top of both of them, see how it made that mark? Right there and right there?
Yeah.
That's the very top part of the tube. Where you want to go over here? Okay? So now I know exactly where the top middle of these tubes are. Okay? So now I want this, that tells me where the middle of this one is. And I need to know where the middle is over here. So let's take the same here, and I scrape across like that. And it'll be directly on the top. So see how it's made that mark right there? right across the top. So now I make this line right in the middle of this tube. So I mark the middle of this one, right? You can go right here and then go across. And as long as I have this right up against that one, right against that one, and that's the middle there, so right there. So that's right where the middle of this tube wants to go through there. So that's the middle of where we want to make the hole. Okay. So now you can see that on this side, when we're ready to put that on the tube, it goes in just like that. Okay. Okay. It's just a little tiny bit too long. That's okay, because we'll use the grinder and just grind just a smidge so that it fits better, okay? There. This one. Yeah, baby. Okay. Now we got that done. All right. All right, well, we finished putting in our seat mounts. I need to do some finish welding, but I think that's about all the fabrication Jaden can handle for one day. So I'm going to let him get out of here, and I'm going to get back to work. Thanks for your help, bud.
Welcome.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
After getting all the tabs welded on for the seats and for the center console, it was time to add some more tubes here for the lap belts. The lap belts need to come back from the seat down at about a 45-degree angle back. So on the outside, we have this tube that we can put a tab on for the outer mount. On the inside, we needed to add these tubes so that we had some place to attach the lap belt. We wanted to make these pieces with 1.5-inch tube, so used our affordable bender with the right die installed. This thing is great because it's much more portable than the other bender, and because it bends up rather than to the side, you can use a digital angle finder. We'll get the seats mounted back in here before we tack those in to make sure we got them in the right place, and then we can add our seatbelt tabs. Well, that feels like a major milestone. As you can see, we've got the seats all mounted. We got the center console mounted. Everything's attached to the cage, not to the body of the truck, so it's nice and secure. We still have to do the shoulder harness mounts. We'll do that when we close in the B-pillar here. But I think that's going to do it for this week. Be sure to like and subscribe. Again, that really helps us out. And thanks for watching You in a Garage.